All right, so hello everyone, and welcome to the Pragati Vichar Literature Festival Spotlight session. And this is in collaboration with the New Delhi Book Fair, which happens in February. So we have something to look forward to. I will introduce myself. I am Ritika, and I am actually a counseling psychologist, and I will be hosting you for the next, hopefully, an hour. All right, so we have with us Indrani Mukherjea and Sujata Parashar. So I will start by introducing both of you. So Indrani Mukherjea, she is an accomplished British Indian born media baron, from founding INX Services Private Limited in Kolkata to co-founding and leading INX Media in Mumbai. Indrani's entrepreneurial spirit and exceptional achievements propelled her to great heights. As the regional director for the Asia Pacific region at IMD International Research Group, she garnered recognition for her expertise and leadership abilities. The Wall Street Journal acknowledged her in the prestigious list of 50 women to watch. Mukherjee has also embraced philanthropy and is actively engaged in improving the lives of prison inmates in under trial prisons. Her commitment to promoting fairness, justice, and rehabilitation within the prison system is unwavering. And now we come to Sujata. Sujata, she is a best-selling novelist, short story writer, and a poet. Sujata, she became widely popular with her Pursuit series and has so far written 12 books across all genres. Most of her books celebrate the feminine power while focusing on women issues. And apart from authoring bestsellers, she is also a psychosocial trainer and the founder of a talk therapy based platform, the Talk It Out Express. She is also the vice president of Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries Arts Leadership Council, Delhi chapter. Sujata has also received the prestigious PVLF Author Excellence Award 2022 for her nonfiction Going Solo, Raising Happy Kids. Her other prominent awards and accomplishments include Iconic Women Creating a Better World for All by Women Economic Forum, Women Achievers of 2021 by Apeksha Sandesh News, and the 100 Women Faces 2018 award by Women Ovato, and several other literary awards. So I would like to welcome you both. It is a great pleasure to have you. And with that, I would like to introduce today's theme. So, the theme that we are going to be talking around today is that of women leading change, hinting on the lines of women empire. So I will start with my questions for the both of you. So, my first question for you is that both of you, you have demonstrated resilience in different contexts. How do you believe the power of resilience, as depicted in your work, can inspire others, especially women, facing challenges in different aspects of life? So let's start with Indrani.
All right. This book, as you are aware, I had written this book during very pressing circumstances. And this is basically, my voice talking about my own personal journey. And it is a tale of overcoming adversity. So I wrote this book with the hope, that the viewers or the listen. When I'm saying the listeners, because it's also an audio book now, the listeners as well as the readers, who have particularly the ones who have faced, similar challenges, realize that under such pressing circumstances, if I could stand up, find my voice, and rise again, so can they. Right? So that is one. And the goal is obviously to give out the message that resilience can be, kind of used to lead to transformation and healing, regardless of life's hardships that we face. So that is the essence of my book.
Wonderful to hear, Indrani. What about
Yeah.
you, Sujata?
So, first of all, thank you very much for that kind and warm introduction, Ritika. Happy to be here at the third edition of PVLF Author Marathon. I have been a part of it previously as well, and you shared that That was the first time when I received that PVLF Author Award for the non-fiction Going Solo, Raising Happy Kids. So I'm really glad to be here and share my thoughts on this very compelling topic. Indrani has already shared her views, and very nice to meet you, Indrani, here,
Same.
virtually though. Now, coming to your question, as a storyteller and as a writer, to me, power of expression holds this idea or this quality of being resilient. Uh, an expressive person or an expressive woman displays certain characteristics. That is, strength of character is one of them, or being bold, uh, respecting herself and her thoughts and views are few of the characteristics that I can mention that an expressive person holds within. And these are the very qualities that you will also find in a person who has resilience. Now, giving you an example from one of my novels, The Temple Bar Woman, which was published in 2018 by a Pune-based publisher, Vishwakarma, and is dedicated to sexual assault survivors, sexual violence survivors. The female protagonist starts off as being someone very simple, a village school teacher. But a tragic, a cruel incident changes her and brings out this quality of resilience just because she wanted to express her angst, her anger, her pain, and she channelizes all these things to bring out that potential of being resilient and bringing the perpetrators to book. So she doesn't bow down to unjust social norms. She refuses to play the victim card, and she turns around her life. Apart from punishing the perpetrators, she also turns around her life in a marvelous way. So, as I mentioned, to me, resilience is one of the strong qualities that is there within the power of expression. And that is what I try to depict through my stories and through the characters, and perhaps some of it resonates with women out there, with my readers, not only women, also men readers,
Yes.
and encourages them maybe. Yeah, so
That's
that's.
great to hear, Sujata. So, in Rani and Sujata, each of you have contributed significantly to literature, and you have showcased your own as well as other women's narratives in different manners. So, how do you view literature as a powerful tool to empowering and amplifying women's voices? In Rani.
So I think Indrani has been quite comprehensive in covering the aspects that literature can do for people. It is cathartic. It gives you that voice, and that voice carries a lot of weight because you're sharing your real stories, especially in case of Indrani and women who write from their own personal experiences. Just to add to that, I also think literature is a powerful tool in connecting you to your conscience, to the inherent human values that we all possess. It helps you think, discuss, even challenge preconceived ideas and preconceived notions, unjust and unsaid norms of society. And it can change mindsets. So that is extremely powerful way of, without bloodshed or without really going to war, you sort out issues. You are able to sort out, even without diplomacy or force, you are able to impact so many people just by writing a book. And I would like to give an example here of Meena Kandasamy. We all know her, a fierce feminist writer. Her semi-autobiographical novel, When I Hit You, and autobiography of, it's a long title, autobiography of a writer as a wife, when she was a wife. I hope I'm correct because it's a very long title, but that was her that was her semi-autobiographical novel, which came out, I think, in 2017 or 2018, and it is based on her failed marriage and the domestic abuse she suffered therein. Now she's carried on with her life. After that book was critically acclaimed globally, It was also shortlisted for one of the international prestigious awards, one of the five books which was chosen globally in UK. This I'm forgetting the name of the award. Again, I think Best Fiction Award of 2018. Now that author Meena Kandasamy has moved on with her life. She is remarried, happily settled in UK. But look at the powerful message she was sending across through that book, that sexual and domestic abuse cannot be and must not be tolerated by society, and you have to speak up and speak about these hush hush issues. And she did it all just by writing a book. That is the power of literature. So yeah, that's my take.
Yes. Actually, when I started writing this book, it was earlier just a diary I started maintaining while I was in prison. I wrote this book in prison. And it is very much when you talk about pen to paper, actually, literally writing a book. I actually wrote it. So I didn't type it on a laptop or a computer because I had no access to it at that point. So I used to, initially write a diary. And during the phase of COVID, I decided that because we were just all in one big jail, right? Everybody in the world. It was a lockdown, and we were not even taken to court at that time. So the only way I thought was to kind of keep myself really, really engaged was to perhaps do something very different, which I had never done earlier, because all I had in prison was time. I had plenty of time. You never run out of time there. So I started actually writing, it in a more structured way, or the diary that I was maintaining. I started writing. It was a very, very painful process for me because it was like almost like revisiting my entire life all over again, right from childhood. But what I realized that obviously it was a catharsis, and I needed to do it. And I did believe, that writing that down and being able to publish it, I was very lucky that, Harper, right after I came out, HarperCollins, decided to publish the book. But I do believe that when you are able to structure your thoughts or your circumstances or your personal journey, which is in my case, it has been there's been a lot of turmoil, and I've overcome it at every stage. I've been, I think, a very resilient soul and spirit. And I did believe that, sharing my own journey would allow other people to, have belief in themselves, that even in our darkest moments, there's an opportunity for growth and redemption. So which is, something literature, per se is able to bring out in many, many words when they say that pen is mightier than the sword. Because there was a lot of, I went through various emotions, during that journey of not just, during that period of incarceration, even while I was writing the book, I was angry at times, I would be sad at times, and there was again hope at times, so I allowed all those emotions really to translate into words. And what I realized when I finished that book was this book was going to be seriously an inspiration to a lot of people, even particularly, women, say girls who come from small towns also, because I was born in Guwahati, and then it was a small town, right? But I always knew, and even at a very young age, I was put through kind of situations which I didn't deserve, and it was not in my hands really. Yet I survived, and yet I kept fighting, and every time I fell, I rose up and I ran again, and I ran till I reached my goal. And I did reach my goal. And once I reached my goal, I was at the top. I was globally at the top, as you know. And after that, I fell again, but I again got up and I ran again, and I'm still running, right? So that is what I think. It is also a motivation for girls from small towns, also, that if you believe, if you have a dream, you need to believe that, you can, we all can fulfill our dreams. Of course, they need to be realistic. When I'm talking about dreams, you also have to really, really work hard at it. So that is, I think, one medium I thought that I could use to reach out to as many women, men, and also this is a very strong message also going out to men, that it is important for them to respect women, and particularly when I think we come from a society where we talk about men being, there's more, of course, physically they are stronger, right? So I think it is men, I think, from a very young age, as fathers, as sons, as brothers, whatever, as friends, they need to be taught to respect women. And particularly for men who believe so much in misogyny, I think it is very important for them to understand that their first social responsibility in that case is to protect the women. They kind of believe they are stronger than. I think that is their first social responsibility. Because if you want to be a patriarch, you better live up to the responsibilities of a patriarch. There's no point, then not kind of fulfilling your responsibilities, right? So that is, I think that's a message again that goes out very loud and clear. And I do believe that, because a lot of people who have read my book or listened to my book have come back with kind of feedback, which is kind of mind blowing, honestly. And I think a lot of people, a lot of women actually have come and said that, listen, we always thought our problems were big and our problems were huge, and we could never kind of get over these situations until and unless we read your book. And if you can, so can we. And I think it has already touched a lot of people's lives. So I'm actually very, very pleased that I wrote this book. And yes, absolutely. I think this should be a motivation. More and more people should write. And it's in very elementary English. My book is in very elementary English. I never thought I could write. So if I can write, I think there should be more people who should read and write.
That's wonderful to hear. So, my next question is, Indrani, for you. So I think memoirs have often have a social impact behind the individual story, right? As you mentioned before. In what ways do you envision your book Unbroken contributing to the broader conversations on resilience, justice, and also women's experience?
The advocacy that's translated into my memoir is basically that of women's rights and mental health awareness. It's deeply embedded in my book. And through my experiences, what I'm trying to do is basically convey a message of empowerment, encouraging, women particularly to stand up against injustice and to prioritize their mental well-being. Because, like just now, Sujata has mentioned, we come from a society where domestic violence, sexual abuse, these kind of things are brushed under the carpet and are kept hush hush, even by every member of the family. In fact, I had experienced it myself, which I have elaborated in my book. So I do believe that, it is, uh, in a way, touched a lot of people, and a lot of people, like I said, have come back and said that, my uncle touched me wrongly, or somebody has actually personally connected with me and spoken to me about these kind of things after I've written my book. And it took me 30 long years to come out with something like this, right? And to kind of, which was obviously, it always did, it did scar me a lot. But I think writing about it and being able to reach out to people to encourage them to say that, listen, if you ever face abuse, you need to be able to come out. So it is, I mean, any form of, even, I think, mental abuse is domestic violence. You forget about physical abuse, right? Which we all keep quiet about, or we do not understand. Very often we don't even connect with it that it's abuse. We just know that people go through depressions, and people, end up jumping from, the fifth floor, or people go and hang themselves. And from the from an outside world perspective, it appears, oh my God, she had everything in the world. So what went wrong? So I think this mental well-being is also very, very important, and which is what I think I have tried to, embed that message also in my book, that we need to take that very, very seriously. And also, I, do honestly kind of believe, that I have been able to give a very nuanced understanding of my own journey, my experiences to people in society, because I've also kind of touched the underbelly of high society in this book, and how at times it can be very superficial friendships or relationships, or non-relationships that people pretend to be relationships. So I think people get a peek into not just my personal journey. People get a peek into the media world at large. People get a peek into the underbelly of the high society. And at the same time, also, because I have talked about a lot of people in my book, about people in prison. So I think also the prison system I've touched really, really well. So it's not like what's seen in the movies, what you see in the movies, people get beaten up all the time. Not that. But yes, there is a lot of power play also in the prison system, which I think I've elaborated at length. So I think I have uh, touched, I would say, a chord with different strata of society, the curious ones, the learned ones, the critics, and the ignorant ones. So, which is, I think, quite kind of, from my point of view, it's very, soul filling, I would say.
That's wonderful to hear, Andrani.
Yeah.
So my next question is for you, Sujata. So your upcoming book, it talks about the stories of women artists, different women artists. In your opinion, what kind of challenges women face in order to make their name in the artistic industry? Also, what do you hope women artists would take from your future book?
Yeah, before I respond to that one, I would like to also share something about the previous question where Indrani, shared her response. There are two kinds of problem that we face in India. We have to accept the fact that we continue to live in a society where misogyny is rampant, where the patriarchal setup continues, and we are trying to break through that, and that is why we are having such a discussion, right? um, Now that is challenge number one for women, that we continue to live in a patriarchal setup and trying to make a mark, or at least trying to speak up about our desires, dreams, aspirations, whatever, as an individual, not as a gender. The second problem is that we have different kind of backgrounds. We come from different cultural setups, traditional backgrounds are different, so the challenges are very different. A woman living in an urban setup and a woman in India living in a rural setup will face very different kind of discrimination. In my books, I've tried to bring it out. In my first novel, In Pursuit of Infidelity, the lead female protagonist is Sheena, who is discriminated for the way she thinks or for her misdemeanor, a small mistake she makes. As opposed to her, Radhika Kumari Chaudhary of the Temple Bar Woman, which I talked about earlier. Now, this woman is discriminated in a much different way, and she has to break through a lot of challenges to actually be able to come out of that difficult situation she is in. So the nuances, for us, for writers like us, to bring out the nuances in writing, we have to focus a lot in how we are creating and in knowing our characters well, like the back of our hand, because it's the characters who will do justice to the theme and to the story. So that's my little bit, my take on that previous question. I wanted to put it out there. Now, could you please repeat the question that you asked me? I'm sorry.
It's all right. So my question to you was that the book that you have coming out,
Yeah,
it's
right.
about the women artists, right? So how do you think we face those challenges when we step into the artistic interest industry to make our name?
So artists, irrespective of their gender, face several challenges when we are talking about creative industries or artistic industry. Women have to doubly struggle. Their
Yes.
challenge is doubly more so because they have to prove their potential at every step of the way. Now, my upcoming book, which is titled Sunflower's Incredible Journeys of Epic Women Artists from India, it's a collection of short biographies of 13 remarkable women artists from India. We have an Odissi dancer, a Sufi singer, a museumologist, a stand up comic who only does women centric shows, um, a theater maker, and so on and so forth, a Bollywood scriptwriter. All of them amazing, powerful stories and the challenges that they face, but how they triumph over those challenges, how they come out of it, is what I have tried to show through their journeys from childhood till present, echoing the life stages of a sunflower. That is what I've tried to cover, and I have not only interviewed these women but also their entire ecosystem, not if not the entire ecosystem, at least parts of it. Like, so I have interviewed their parents, their teachers, their associates, current associates, their college friends, to give a wholesome perspective of these women. And the aim has been to not only read the heart and mind or explore the heart and mind of women artists, female artists, but also to show the power of art and how it can solve problems, as I mentioned earlier, which are complex problems, and which we politicians and policymakers are finding it difficult to solve them. Actually, if they involve artists in discussions, in mainstream discussions, then we firstly we don't have to have lit fests to have such conversations. I'm sure that they can carry on, but we need more and more people from society, institutions, governments, to involve artists in mainstream discussions, and if we can come up with creative solutions that have never been discussed before. And as I said earlier, without bloodshed, without diplomacy, without force. So that is the power of art. I hope I answered your question.
Oh, yes, very well. You've answered really well.
Thank you.
You are a woman after my heart, I must tell you that.
Thank you. Thank you, Indra.
That I come to the last question that I have for the both of you. So, Sujata, you founded the Talk Therapy platform, and Indrani, on the other hand, you worked with prison advocacy, and both of these they set out to transform lives. So, how do your respective platforms contribute to giving voice to women's transformation, whether in mental health or the criminal justice system? Let's start with Indrani.
All right. So, what I have done is, I have tied up with this NGO called Insaniyat, which is very actually close to my home. I can just walk from my house. It's very convenient. And it was founded by a party worker, political party worker called Arjun Meghe, who's a very, very young guy. And he had set this up at the time. He had just, I think, returned from the US. He's barely, I think, 30 years old, And he had set it up when this whole Nirbhaya thing had happened. and he started it basically with promoting. He's a lot into fitness, so self defense for women. That is how it started. He and one of his friends had set it up, and then from there on, obviously, he started doing a bit of work for the local women in Worli. So after, like, I started, once I decided that I wanted to do something to help, because I've seen, while I was in prison, I saw that a lot of women who, some of them are, of course, habitual criminals, but not all of them are guilty. In fact, I would say 90% of the women who are incarcerated, as under trials, are innocent, and they come out after the trial is over, they come out, not guilty. So, which is really, really sad. And a lot of them come from very, very underprivileged backgrounds. And very often, most of these women are abandoned, by even their own families, leave alone, the in-laws, even their own families, by their children, or by, their parents, spouses, everyone. And this is, like, again, in the case of most women, no matter what level of society you come from, because I faced it, so coming from, and I would say, I mean, if something like that can happen to me, I was abandoned. Okay. So if something like that can happen to me, it could just about happen to anybody, right? So for these women who are particularly not literate, or just about literate, it is very important that when they come out of prison, whether they come out on bail or they come out, acquitted. So once they are out, very often they don't have a place to go to, or even if they have, a shelter where they can go to, but they do not have, enough kind of expertise, let's say, or any kind of skill set to go out and really earn a living. So very often, how these these criminals also become habitual criminals, because even if they want to kind of change, let's say transform, they do not have a skill set, so they again end up going perhaps back into prostitution, or going back into, selling, drugs, or whatever they were earlier caught for, right? So now this particular NGO who I'm working with, so we are providing them with vocational training on a very regular basis. Now we make groups of 30 to 40 women, and some of them are prison inmates who have come out. Some of them are from shelters, because even in shelters or orphanages, once you're 18, then you're left to fend for yourself almost, right? So we train these women. If they are literate, then we give them, literate enough to handle computers, then we give them training on computers and how to kind of, a kind of work on probably even sitting at home, kind of, because now, things have become much easier with so much of connectivity. Otherwise, whether it's bag making, weaving, candle making, so there are various forms, dancing, or even because there's now a huge demand. For example, here, at least in Maharashtra, they have made it compulsory for all government schools to have a dance teacher. So there's a huge vacancy and huge need for dance teachers. And I personally, like, I'm training as a dancer, because I really enjoy dancing, and this is a new love that I have found. So we are doing all of that so that these women are able to support themselves or even support their families. There are also a lot of women, for example, whose, the male members have suddenly been, sent to prison for whatever crime they have committed or not committed, right? So then suddenly, their entire pressure of the financial burden is on them to take care of themselves and the household. And we are also kind of, we are not just giving them the vocational training. We are then conducting, kind of, we have these fairs, or we have these, we recently had one in Worli, where we put up stall, we fund those stalls and the women to kind of showcase their products, and then get them actually into that entire ecosystem where they are being able to sell the products. and then connect them with factories or wherever. So, like, it's from the start till the end, till they are able to support themselves. So, this is what I am doing currently. I would obviously like to do much, much more, but I'm trying to kind of do as much as I can and raise more and more awareness, and see where I can get to.
But that's a wonderful endeavor, Indrani. It's
Yeah.
so good to hear. What about you, Sujata? What about your talk therapy platform?
Yeah, so as a psychosocial trainer and talk therapist, I initiated the Talk It Out Express in 2019. I have been in this working in this area for the past in the social development area for the past almost 2 decades now, I think, and on different projects related to women, mostly related to women and adolescent boys and girls both, but a lot of it with girls. But when I started the Talk It Out Express in 2019, the sort of um, the what my view shifted, or my direction shifted towards mental health and emotional health of women, men as well. So under the platform, we do a lot of wide variety of activities are carried out. There are three different verticals. One is one-on-one counseling, talk therapy based counseling with people, with women, men, children also. The other one is intimate workshops. Under this, we have conducted so far many workshops involving women, which is specifically directed towards women. And so I'll just focus on that part. But the third, just quickly mentioning the third vertical is it's called the Talk Buddies Club. I started that during COVID, when people felt were left alone or felt alone. They didn't have no one to talk to, and that's when I started this virtual club, and we have about 50 members there. They are talk buddies, so as you can make out from the name, it's like you get a space to talk about anything that you want to talk about. So that is the other thing. But now, coming to what we do with women, now there are specific modules that we have created for women. Top three, I will talk about them. One is a module that focuses on suppressed emotions versus repressed emotions. Now, first of all, there is a big difference between the two. Suppressed emotions are bad feelings which you recognize but you want to avoid, okay, for whatever reasons. But repressed emotions are the ones that you don't even recognize. They are there deep within you, they trouble you, they cause psychosomatic issues, but you don't even know what these repressed emotions are. So first of all, to recognize those emotions, then to be able to understand where does it come from, childhood trauma, or is it the life experiences, or whatever, your personality, etc., and then to be able to manage and express them in a way that heals you. So this is one of the modules that we work
Hello,
on.
Sujata.
Yeah. Hi, Andrani, can you hear me?
Hi, hi, yes, yes. You just froze for a second. Yeah, now
Okay,
you.
right.
Yeah.
So moving on. So, and that is one of the modules. The second module that is quite popular is also again to do with guilt. In India, women suffer with this issue a lot. The false guilt. So, what is a false guilt and what is a true guilt, and how can you reconcile with it? Is the other thing that we focus on. And the other the topic that we pick up is feeling of unworthiness, feeling dejected, feeling as if loss of confidence. These are the things that we work around a lot, and we do these intimate workshops where we have 15 to 20 women, and each one of them participate. We also do large group interactive events, but those in those events, we people don't get a chance to talk. The participants, not everybody will get a chance to talk. That's why we suggest the intimate kind
Smaller
of
group.
model, yeah, for benefiting everyone who's participating. So this is something very briefly that we I do under Talk It Out Express. But again, it is on a slow mode because a lot of my time is taken for writing and paraphernalia, related work to writing. This continues, the platform continues and will continue, But as I said, it's gone a little slow after COVID happened. So the lockdown happened. So yeah, that's about it.
That was great to hear, Sujata.
Thank you, Ritik.
Okay, I just need to tell you that I need to kind of disconnect in about another 10 minutes.
Okay,
Okay.
so that is all completely fine because we have just reached the end of the session. That was my last question for you. So,
Okay.
with that, thank you so much for joining me, both of you. I had a great experience. I hope you did too. And I hope you have a great day ahead too. So, with that, I will just like to say goodbye and thank you again.